The only reason I corrected is they'll say, he didn't know his name. He didn't know his name. He must be cognitive. You know? Don't forget, I do most of this stuff without teleprompters. They do. Biden.
What? That is something that someone who is definitely not in cognitive decline would say. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Let's go over the lowlights of Donald Trump's speech from Tuesday in Iowa. He was speaking at Waterloo, and this speech was an utter disaster. It got worse from there. Listen to what he says here. Play the clip.
It's crazy what's going on. They're ruining our country. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way. No, they're coming from all over the world, people all over the world. We have no idea. They could be healthy. They could be very unhealthy. They could bring in disease that's going to catch on in our country, but they do bring in crime. But they have them coming from all over the world.
Again, he repeats the line, destroying the blood of our country, echoing Hitler again and again, and then having to say that he hasn't read Mein Kampf. I mean, what have we come to where this is even a thing? By the way, here Donald Trump says that the reason the stock market is booming right now is actually because of him. Play the clip.
And I heard somebody today say, one of these genius analysts, the stock market's good, the rich get richer, but the stock market's good because they think Trump is going to win the election. And I believe that's true. And whatever good they have right now is the fumes of what we left them. It's coming off the fumes of what we've left them. But the stock market is good because a lot of people think we're going to win the election. So that's an interesting fact. I felt that, but I didn't want to say it, but I think we will say it.
Oh, and by the way, on the recent episode of the MeidasTouch podcast, Brett predicted that exactly. And just so you can see what we predicted back on December 14th, actually, so about 5 or 6 days ago, here's what Brett was saying. Play the clip. Donald Trump is going to say it's because of his policies about why things are really good in 2024.
He's going to say it's because of his poll numbers. He's going to say, look at my poll numbers. That's why the economy is doing so good, because everyone's excited for Trump to get back.
That's
what he's going to say.
A great point. Yeah, because when you understand malignant narcissism, when you understand the pathology, it's easy to predict his behavior. Here, Donald Trump is talking about Washington, D.C., and this is what he says. Play the clip.
The streets, they look like, I mean, I drove into Washington a few weeks ago for a court case. One of the many. I should get to know it very well. I can't get a fair trial on Washington. The whole thing is ridiculous. But for a court case, I'm driving over a road where it's almost all paper garbage. And, you know, you can see paper. I know paper. I know cans. When cans start to literally rot, when paper is rotting, it's been there for a long time. Nobody cleans up anything. The medians, the dividers, they're all broken and falling down.
Again, that is something that someone who is definitely not in cognitive decline would say. Definitely not. Definitely not. Here, Donald Trump says that Democrats are fascists. Play this clip.
The Democrats aren't. They're fascists. They're not. They want school boards. They want people to take your children and do things with your children that are not even speakable.
After having to say that he doesn't read Mein Kampf, but quoting directly from Hitler's speeches or very close there too, you have to say that. Wow. Here, Donald Trump says something about children not knowing what language they're even speaking. Can you keep up with what he's even saying? I don't think he can. I don't think there's something to keep up to. It's just word salad, fascist, cosplay gibberish. Here, play the clip.
You have children going to school speaking languages that nobody even knows what the language is. There are many languages in the world. They don't even know what the language is. And they're sitting in classrooms, and there's no room for our students in the classrooms.
Oh, well, here Donald Trump talks about ripping away your health care. Play the clip.
Because Obamacare, as you know, is a catastrophe for American families. Almost had it done, but then John McCain voted it down. After campaigning for 10 years to kill it, John McCain voted it down. Too bad. That was too bad.
Praising Jim Jordan and James Comer. Play the clip.
But actually, the Republicans, and Jim Jordan's great, and Jamie is doing a great job.
And then could we compare all of that madness for a moment with President Joe Biden? Here was President Joe Biden honoring former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor at her memorial service on Tuesday. Play the clip.
Equal justice under law is the noblest aspiration of humankind. And the aspiration of Sandra Day O'Connor, one that she pursued her whole life. The last justice to have held elective office, she was especially conscious of the law's real impact on people's lives. One need not agree with all her decisions in order to recognize that her principles were deeply held and of the highest order, and that her desire for civility was genuine, and her trust in the capacity of human institutions to make life better is what this world was abiding. And how she embodied such attributes under such pressure and scrutiny helped empower generations of women in every part of American life, including the court itself, helping to open doors, secure freedoms, and prove that a woman can not only do anything a man can do, but many times do it a heck of a lot better. Excuse my language, Father.
And by the way, while Donald Trump was delivering whatever that was, there was the right-wing influencer event taking place in Phoenix, Arizona, called American Fest, hosted by Turning Points USA or whatever they're called. This is what Ted Cruz had to say. Play the clip.
Left is so bad. They're so unhappy. They're so pissed off. And by the way, if you were a liberal woman and you had to sleep with those weenies, you'd be pissed too.
Folks, it's pure, unadulterated MAGA madness. And to me, as we look to 2024, I mean, it's really about normalcy versus chaos. It is about democracy over dictatorship. Called me old-fashioned, but I think it is just that simple. You got President Biden focusing on issues like, and by the way, not just the stock market. And let me be very clear, though, about the stock market for just a second. All Donald Trump would do when he was in office would be brag about the stock market. And legacy media would just push that narrative and tie the success of the stock market to Donald Trump's time where he disgraced the presidency. You shouldn't do that. But they would give him every favor in the world. Do you remember that right before COVID hit our shores, Donald Trump signed a stock market chart, sent it to Lou Dobbs, and then right before COVID hit, and then the stock market tanked the very next week. Do you remember when all of that happened? So I just want to be clear that now that the stock market is hitting record highs, when Donald Trump said that under President Biden, it was going to crash, it was going to be the worst, and all of these BS things, then President Biden doesn't get the credit for that at all. And the media moves on to whatever the next Donald Trump inspired narrative is. Well, that was until the MeidasTouch network came along. But let's not talk just about the stock market. Let's talk about other economic metrics, shall we? Like, how about the fastest growing GDP of any G7 nation? How about third quarter GDP was revised up to 5.2%? How about that America's GDP is growing faster than China's? How about we're number one in the world when it comes to the fastest growing GDP of G7 nations right now? How about because of the Inflation Reduction Act and because of other policies implemented like the Infrastructure Act, and other tangible steps that President Biden's taken, he's gotten inflation under control. And don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You can listen to Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis, who explain that the root cause of the inflation was that Donald Trump put us in $8 trillion of more debt during his administration. He printed money like wild. But again, let's focus on 40,000 infrastructure projects. Let's focus on wage growth. Let's focus on jobs. Let's focus on bottom up, middle out. Let's focus on those metrics as well, because by those metrics, President Biden is doing a good job as well. And of course, the legacy media wants to focus on this or that. They want to tell us the story about why it is because the Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Donald Trump based on an insurrection that we all watched with our own eyes, one of the most humiliating and disgraceful days in American history. The legacy media wants to push a narrative, thrust a narrative on us that somehow benefits Donald Trump, that being disqualified, that's a big win for Donald Trump. But then when it comes to President Biden's actual wins, benefits to the economy, lowering healthcare costs, lowering prescription drug prices, delivering for seniors, delivering for students. How is that going to backfire on President Biden? That's what the legacy media is pushing. Enough is enough. When you watch what we showed you at the beginning of this video, that is pure madness. That's it. Just call it what it is. It's unadulterated fascism. It's dangerous. It's MAGA. It's fascism plus idiocracy. We are not going to stand for it here. We, the MeidasTouch pro-democracy community. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch and have a great day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.